Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing. Welcome to episode 2 of Water Media series. Today I'm going to be creating in my homemade disc-bound journal. It measures 6 by 6. That's the journal we're primarily going to be working in for this series. And I'm going to be using these magicals from Lindy Stamp Gang, some tissue paper from Tim Holtz. These stickers are from Graphic 45 or 7 Dot Studio, I'm not sure. Stencil and some old papers, vintage book pages and music pages. And there's the journal. And that page is episode 1. And so here we will be working on episode 2 called Just Breathe. I'll be applying all of my papers with my Liquitex matte medium. Sometimes I use Liquitex and sometimes I use Golden. Kind of just depends on what I find on sale because I do go through it quite quickly. And in this case, I am actually using originals of my vintage papers. I have a lot, and I really, really enjoy using the original. I do have photocopies of each of these pages, these bits, but I really enjoy using the original. I love the paper color, and the fragility of the paper really is appealing to me. And then so there's some old book pages as well. And I do dry after I get all these papers applied, and it's got a good coat of the matte medium on top because I want that page and that paper to be sealed. It is watercolor paper, and so it's fairly absorbent and it's very resilient for mixed media, so I really enjoy working on that. And here I'm going to just apply some of that Tim Holtz tissue paper just here and there on the page. I just really like how it is transparent and it will show what is underneath the tissue paper. I think it adds a really old look to the page, which I really enjoy. This page was extremely fun to make. I actually made 2 in a row because it just went so smoothly and was just so enjoyable. Sometimes it's nice to work on a smaller surface. It's not quite so overwhelming. So if you're feeling overwhelmed while you're learning how to do art journaling, you may want to consider going smaller and trying something more in this kind of a 6 by 6 or 4 by 6 size paper. It's a little bit more manageable and not as intimidating. And here I'm going to be using some Dreamweaver transparent paste. They call it embossing paste, but it's basically, embossing paste. Yeah, I can't think of the word. You know what I mean, though. It gives that raised texture. I apologize for that. It's been a long day, and I'm trying to get this video uploaded so that it'll post on time. So time kind of got away from me this weekend. Embossing, it's basically texture paste, just in a different form. And I like that it's transparent, so it pretty much was invisible once it was dry. I did come in and fill in some of the holes and some other places on the page with some gesso, which created a lot of really beautiful texture, as you'll be able to see in some of the clips here, as well as the pictures at the end of the video. And here's where I'm coming in with the gesso and just using a really big palette knife because I want that gesso to just kind of skip across the page. I don't want it to cover all of that beautiful print, but I did want it to kind of complement the embossing paste that I used there, that clear embossing paste with that stencil, and it really did just that. It was gorgeous when it was done and once it was dry. And I am drying in between each of these steps, so I dried after the collage papers were put on. I made sure that the embossing paste was also dry before I put on the gesso. That's really important as you're doing this process. And here I'm coming in with my Magicals. This is my Mojito Green. For some reason, the camera did not want to focus. I think I raised it up too quickly, so I'm still learning how to do that a little bit. This is Mission Brown something. All of the products will be listed on my blog, where this video will also be posted. So if you want to see what kind of supplies I used, you can go ahead and check out the blog at B.Rebornart.com. So there I applied both of those Magicals onto my page, just kind of sprinkling it, with a brush here and there, and then spraying it with some water. And it was just absolutely gorgeous. And I love how you can, by adding the water, you can control where that color and that pigment is going. And the Magicals are truly magical. They are a water-based medium, so you do have to be selective in how you use them and in the order in which you use them, because they will lift. Like if you were to apply another medium on top, like gesso or modeling paste or something like that, it would pull up that color and it would mix into your medium and color it. So if that's okay with you, then it works just fine. But they are a little bit tricky in that way. And this series is all about using water media products, like watercolor crayons, liquid watercolor, distress crayons, the Marabou crayons, all of those water-soluble kinds of supplies. So, and there you can see a close-up of that delicious texture. It's just so gorgeous. And I love the pieces of the paper that we're showing through. And it just always amazes me how I don't really think about where I'm applying that stuff, but it just ends up being perfect in terms of what shows through. And this page looked really antiqued and really old, and I really liked that. And here I'm using the, I believe that this is the Peony Scarlet Red. And I just was wanting to apply that with a brush because I wanted to control a little bit more where that was going. So I just sprinkled it on my mat there off screen and sprayed it with some water so that I could kind of control where it went and where, kind of where it stayed. So that's an option as well. The Magicals can be pretty messy, so you can try other ways of using it so that it's more controlled and it gets everywhere. It will get in any open container you have on your desk. So I caution you there, but they are beautiful. And then this is the focal point that I wanted to use. It was just these little birds with a pink rose. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that pink roses are very near and dear to my heart. They are associated with a very special person who I lost many, many years ago. So they always now make me smile. They make me remember, and I really appreciate that. So I decided I wanted it to be a little distressed. So I tore the edges and tore that piece down so it wasn't so abrupt and rectangular. And then I'm using my Arranger Archival ink in black and just going around the edges. And I do go around and around the sides a couple of times at least, just kind of trying to get the amount of black edging that I really was going for. And sometimes you don't know what you're going for until you're actually in the process. So go with your gut and play, have fun. Most everything can be rescued, and I always try to think about this being an art journal is a place to play and experiment. And if you create something that you absolutely fall in love with, then bonus. If you create something and it's not so great, you've learned something along the way. At least I do. I did decide I wanted to come in and edge the 6x6 page there as well with the same Ranger Black Archival ink. I wanted it to really have that old look. And that's something that I associate with this person that I lost. And I really have always kind of experienced her in my memory as kind of an old soul. And so this was really fitting for this. I didn't deliberately create with her in mind, but I knew as soon as I picked the pink rose as my focal point that that's kind of where my heart was going to go with the page, which is good. And it's always a healing thing for me. So I appreciate any time I can do something artistic with her in mind. So, and I hope that you, as you experiment and play with art journaling, that you'll find that to be true as well, that you're able to express beautiful things and not so beautiful things, and that it's a good process for letting out some things that that you maybe don't have words for, or necessarily even know that you feel. So it's a beautiful avenue for doing that. And there I'm just sticking on that that focal point with the rose with my matte medium. I didn't feel like I needed really anything heavier because there was a lot of texture underneath, and I just made sure I got the matte medium into the texture so that it would kind of grab there, and it worked out really well. Had a really hard time holding on to my little quote there. I just wanted to go really simple here, and so I just picked a sticker from that sticker sheet, which I believe is from 7 Dot Studio. Unfortunately, the edge of it that had the company name is not on it anymore, so I can't confirm that. But they do have an awesome list of, or an awesome shop and supplies available, 7 Dot Studio. And here I'm just coming in with my charcoal pencil as usual and framing that quote. I didn't really feel like I needed to frame anything else because everything was really dark as it was. And the look that it was left with was perfect. And it matched what kind of what I was going for with my heart. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you'll check back next Wednesday for episode 3. Thank you. Bye-bye.